Everyone, I want to say thank you for joining us today. This is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, and the topic for today is raising your rates just isn't enough for reducing your workload. And I'm going to be speaking with Maanoj Shah today about that topic, who you may have seen or heard from already. Anyway, you are in the right place if you have discovered that raising rates alone just doesn't really solve some of your workflow problems. You have uncovered smart offshoring as an option, but maybe you have some delegation strategies that you would like that would really help to be able to optimize it and solve some of the capacity challenges. And then also, we're going to cover gaining some practical tips to reclaim your time and boost profitability. So I suggest you have things ready to take some notes because Maanoj will be sharing a lot. He's always very generous. And then we're going to be able to let you know how you connect with him as well. So Maanoj Shah is the co-founder and director of Finsmart Accounting, where he helps accounting firms solve capacity challenges. And he does that through smart offshoring strategies. He has over 25 years experience, and Maanoj is the creator of the accounting seat model. It's designed to help firm owners grow profitably without burning out. So he is a sought-after speaker at conferences like Scaling New Heights and Bridging the Gap. He's known for his people-first approach, and he helps firm owners create space for growth, balance, and freedom while still serving the clients at a very high level. If you want to find out more about Maanoj and also Finsmart Accounting, you can go to finsmartaccounting.com. Anyway, Maanoj, I am looking forward to the conversation, so let's just dive in. And what I would love to hear first is about how you got into offshoring solutions for accounting firm owners.
So thank you, Lauren, first of all, for inviting me to this forum, and I'll be happy to be here. So, so I was running a CFO service, fractional CFO firm, and, I looked at that, people were struggling for the basic accounting, right, before they go to the fractional CFO. And so that's how I figured out that most of the scaling enterprises, their main production work is not set, right? And, so that's how we went into that. And then when we were looking to solve problem for the corporates, we happened to meet a couple of CPA firms and accounting firms, and they were struggling with the talent and the capacity, right? So we said it just doesn't matter whether we do accounting for CPA firms client or the direct clients, and then we started this. So I think post pandemic, I think there was a tremendous capacity challenge in US, and that's how we kind of took a conscious step that let's go out in US and help people. And so in this last 3 years, we have started working from zero to almost about 80 accounting firms in North America. And, so that's how, I ventured into it. And so it was a conscious step, but at the same time, I didn't know we'll grow so fast, so quick. But the challenges were so much that, we had a real good opportunity to kind of help the accounting firms.
And I know that offshoring is something that is gaining popularity, a lot of traction, but a lot of times people think, oh, they can offshore, they can raise your rates, which is something I absolutely love talking about. But I know that raising rates, and we're on the same page, is typically a first step. And you feel that it's not enough. So I want to hear your thoughts as to why, if they're going down that road of really growing their firm, and one of the things they do is raising their rates, why isn't that in and of itself enough from your opinion?
See, it's raising prices is good, but it's just a tactical choice, right? But it changes your revenue per unit of time, but it doesn't change how you are going to use your time. Okay, so what is important in raising the rate is that you have raised a rate, but whether your way of doing things have changed or not, or you are still working hard to deliver the same value, right? So it's not really a value-based pricing, you know. So when you raise a rate, you need to also change the way you do things, okay? In terms of setting up processes, in terms of setting SOPs, bringing the technology piece into the play, and you know how you can be more efficient, right? At the end of the day, you know, so if you are raising a rate and then you are working hard, that means you are just running on that treadmill fast, but things are not changing, right? So if you want to change things, then you will have to relook at it, your role from being a technician to being a designer, right? And to
Mm-hmm.
be an entrepreneur, right? So when you look from that, you know, so one is doing the work, one is getting the work done, right? So you know, when you raise your rate, then the next step comes is that, are you designing thing for the growth? Are you designing your firm or your practice for scale up, right? And once you start, once this thought appears to you, once you start thinking about that, then you will do something to create a real practice where you set up processes, where you set up technology, where you set up offshore team, and you kind of start managing things rather than doing yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. And one of the things I'm hearing then is going from working in the business and doing the day-to-day activities to really working on your business and shifting from being that technician to being more of business growth and development in order to scale. So if someone is stuck in the day-to-day, some of the first steps that you're mentioning is setting up processes. You have to change your mindset about how you look at your role in the firm a little bit, start to get things out of your head and create those SAPs, and realize that if you're moving towards a value-based pricing, then the more that you increase efficiency actually allows you to scale, but also it increases your profit margin. So I love the fact that you're talking about these firm owners getting out of their own way in order for their business to grow. And one way is by getting all the processes out of the head and also looking at staffing solutions. So I think that touches on the fact that a lot of times firm owners, they still feel busy. Getting out of that day-to-day operation is difficult. And that so many firms that I've seen, they're very, very client-centered, where someone asks for something to happen, they come in with a request, the firm owner says yes, and then all of a sudden things start kind of creeping back onto their plate again, once again taken away from time and profit. So what are some suggestions you have when those little requests come up so they don't stay so busy?
So I think if your value is tied to your time, your growth will have a ceiling, right? So idea would be that, you know, how you could get this work done from the people, right? So how you could be an orchestrator of doing business, right? And I think the first step, as you said, you know, comes that is when you move to a value-based pricing, is whether you have really kind of created a differentiate in the offering, right? Because most of the times what happens is that I have seen so many websites of the accounting firms, okay? It just lists down what they can, right? Okay, I can do accounting, I can do bill pay, I can do, you know, payroll, I can do inventory reconciliations, I can present you MIS and stuff like that. But and when, you know, client comes signing up, he thinks that, okay, they can do everything, and you know, you start doing, right? But if you have not created really a packages, right? If you have not really created the box offering, then you are not setting up yourself for the growth, right? Because then customer doesn't know what he is buying, okay? And you don't know what you are selling, because when customer is buying, he would see all these things that you have listed, and he thinks that in this pricing, he is getting everything. Okay, would just start demanding things, right? But then you say that, oh, this financial reporting, if you want to add, then you'll have to pay more. But then they would say in your website, it was listed, right? So I think the first important step is whether you have created the value-based pricing, and you created the boxed offerings, or maybe you have created the kind of a packaged your products offerings well or not, right? That is the first step, right? And then when a client wants to migrate from one package to another one, right? Then you increase the price and say, hey, you can just sign up for this package, which comes the financial reporting, right? And when you sign up for that, and then if you are doing the work, then it becomes all the more sense, because then you know that your profitability is not getting impacted. But if you do not have this boxed packages and you start delivering everything to every client, then you don't know where you are, and you don't know what about your profitability. So you should start thinking scale, right? And when you want to start thinking scale, the first is that what are you selling, right? So if you are able to create a packages, it is very easy for you to tell the client that what it consists of in this pricing, what you can offer in this pricing, and you can move them up the value chain. Or they also know that as my business grows, I can just I have more services from the accounting firms which they could provide by paying extra.
And I agree that packages is actually the first step to value pricing. So instead of them going to a website, they look at the services page, they see this long a la carte laundry list of all the different things that you do. And they think that they are paying you $300 a month and they're getting $1,000 a month worth of quality service is what happens between the client as well as the firm owner. So by this, and going away from the a la carte services over to packaging, you're actually creating scope containment. And that is a process now for being able to address when those out of scope requests come in order to protect you, but also have transparency with the client. So I think that what is going on here is looking at how you talk about your services. And the difference that you were mentioning is you're not talking about really what you do any longer. We're going to give you these reports. We're going to track these KPIs. We're going to reconcile. What you're talking about now is about the problems that you're solving and the benefits that come out of it. And so it's changing the conversation a little bit. Is that what you found as well?
Yeah, because that's the first step. Because when you think about growing, when you think about growth, right? So you will have to start looking things, packaging yourself. So what happens is that even it cuts down the cycle for selling, right? And if every time you will have to explain to the people, and your lot of time is going into the sales call, so that much less time you will have for the other things, right? So idea would be, so what I'm saying is that, okay, we come to the processes later, but even you should have a processes for the sales. And then backed by it is, how do you now engage your team, create the processes, SOPs to deliver on that, right? So it's a structure throughout. It's just not structure in the back end, but it starts from the front end.
And it creates so much more efficiency. And I think that is going to go back into the offshoring part of this. So how, when a firm owner is ready to offshore, they've been doing the research, they see this as a solution. How does it maybe change the way that they think about time and value?
I'll just give you one example. Okay. Yesterday we had a call with one client, and she told me that, okay, I'm selling something at $400. This is my package. Okay. And I have got now the startups, okay, which is ready to pay me $250, but I'm not going to take the client. So can you help me to deliver end-to-end services? Right. And I told her that, so why don't you create a startup package, which is at $250, right? And then you say that, okay, in this package, I'll do like once a quarter, quarterly bookkeeping. I'll send you the reports once in a quarter, and I'll meet you once in a year for any things that is there, right? And she said it's doable, right? So that's when they said, okay, if I have to kind of do this in $250, it's not possible for me to have a resource in US because it will cost them anywhere around
Mhm.
$40 to $50 for accounting, right? And so that's where it says that let's look this offshore. So he said, can you do it for me? Yeah, of course. So our rates are anywhere around $20 to $25, and this takes like only 2 hours for 2 hours a month for these kind
Mhm.
of so you are in a way paying only $50, but at the same time, with little time of your consulting, you will make $20 to $50, right? So you'll have to design it. So idea would be that people just look offshoring as a capacity, but I want to say that it's just not capacity, it is aiding your business growth. I mean, look at, you would never have taken this client thinking that I'll never be able to meet the cost.
Mhm.
With offshoring, suddenly a new category of client got created for you. This is a new opportunity got created for you. So offshoring is just not a capacity solution, it's a business enabler for you. And you need to start thinking in different ways.
Mhm. And with that firm owner, I love the fact that you were able to help them actually create a new stream of revenue by
Yeah.
looking at things from maybe a different angle than they would normally have looked at it. Instead of it being a yes or no, a binary decision, it's now about how can we make that work as opposed to if we can make it work. So,
Yeah.
so it just changes the perspective a little bit.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you also were touching on is delegation. So many firm owners, they have control freaks. Nobody can do things as well as they can. And they want to be able to bring on some help, but they also feel that no one can do it as well as they can. So how is it possible to start effectively delegating when they are using Finsmart for offshoring solutions?
So see, control is comforting until it becomes the cage,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, well, most firm owners are the bottleneck in their own firm's growth and scalability. So,
Yeah, so you have to go out of that comfort zone, right? So that's how it is. And so I see that people have a lot of apprehensions about offshoring, or how do I delegate? I don't know where it is going. I don't know who's there on the other side of the world. Um, but let me tell you that they are the same humans, right? I mean, there's no difference. So because you have not met them, because now you have not seen them, because you have not really know the culture over there, it's very difficult to kind of depend and create a trust on that. Okay, but my experience is that once, I mean, we have been working with hundreds of accounting firms, and once they start uh, kind of delegating, okay, and once they start kind of integrating these global teams into them, right? So it is no different than working uh, the teams in US. It is exactly the same,
mhm.
right? And to your question, that the first time when you are delegating, okay, it's going to be always difficult, because imagine, the biggest jump I say is from being a doer to a manager.
Mm-hmm.
That's a biggest jump. Okay. Once you cross that, after from manager to become a CEO, VP, all is fine. Okay. But the biggest jump is that I am losing that control, which I was doing everything myself. And now I have to just chill, relax, and see that, okay, things are getting done. Okay. So delegating is the risk that you feel. Okay. But that risk can be protected through few things. Okay. The first thing comes is a process. So have you set up a process, okay, to
Mm-hmm.
delegate? So many of the times what happens is solopreneurs, or when you are working yourself, since you have everything in your head, you have actually not written down how you operate or how you would like to operate, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's very, very important that the first thing is you create the the processes and the SOPs, like how you would like to get work done, right? So that is the first thing. The second important pillar is, are you training them? Okay. So once you have created the processes and SOP, then you need to kind of, train them, right? And once you have trained them, the next thing comes in that in delegation, what is important is the communication. So have you created the rhythms to check what's happening on a frequent basis? So it could be daily check-ins, it could be just weekly rhythms, it could be just monthly going over the review, right? So if you have created a strong review mechanism, then delegation would be comforting for you. But before having processes, training, and the communication rhythms, delegation is going to be very risky and very uncomfortable. So
And
these are the tools, so to delegate.
And one of the things I've actually seen with my clients that have shifted over to offshoring solutions is that a lot of times their offshore team can help them create the SOPs and the processes also, because you do that for so many other firms. You know what needs, some of the steps that need to happen in order to be able to get the work done correctly. Is that part of what you've seen also?
Yeah, of course. We call it, we have an accounting seat. So one of our product offering is a workflow seat, where we help the firm practitioners to develop the workflow, right? Because we have so many clients from all the kind of an industry, from legal firms to agri to you name it, and we're working with all the contractors, the architects, the real estate, and everything, right? So we have an expertise in house. We are sitting on a library of templates, right? So for us, it is very easy that somebody says, hey, look, I'm working for non-profits, so we could just pull out a kind of a template and quickly customize for them and set it up a workflow in the practice management software. So we do two things here. We help them to create the standardized workflows for them. So what happens is, standardization is one of the platform for growth, right? So if you have a standardized structure process, you could scale up faster, right? So we help them to set up those workflows. Second is, we also help them to select the practice management software, be it whatever, Canopy, Keeper, Financial Sense, Carbon. We work with pretty much everything. We are tech agnostic. Or if already they have selected, we'll be happy to onboard that, adopt that, and put this workflow, standardized workflow into that software, right? So like other day, in scaling new acts, I was just meeting one client and, we had done a workflow and setup of practice management. You know what she told me? Maanoj, I've been thinking this for last 2 years. And I couldn't do that. And we take only 4 to 8 weeks to do that. And you start running, right? So many of the times you feel this is like a very big exercise and it takes a lot of time. But once you have this, special help, you could just scale up faster, right? So you should look at these kind of services and avail that.
And that's one of the things I wanted to say is, so many firm owners think that they need to first come out with their SOPs and write all their procedures themselves, but that's something you can assist them with. And then there's two other things I hear over and over again that hold firm owners back from offshoring, is that they are concerned about security. And then they think that all their clients will leave if they know that you're offshoring to India. So what are some of the ways that you help the firm owners navigate those concerns?
Yeah, this is extremely, extremely good question, because, the moment you talk about offshoring, the very next question comes is data security, right? So, in fact, I'll tell you, most of the offshoring firms, who are grown to a particular size, say, for example, more than 100 people and all that, so they would have one of the finest security as compared to individual firm owners they would have, right? Because that's their bread and butter. They live on that, right? So just to tell you, couple of things that a firm owner, what they should do is, so security is a risk, okay? And they should not take this lightly, okay? But they should check two things, okay? One, on the agreement side. So are you having an agreement and the confidentiality clause built in into your offshoring agreement? So that is the first thing. That is from the legal compliance perspective, okay? Second important thing is you can look at, what is the kind of security protocols they are using. So say, for example, like at Finsmart, we use dump terminals, okay? So none of these account managers, accountants are able to download any data because their USBs and disk drives are deactivated. Okay, we have a secured server and a firewall in place. Okay, we have an access control where we have a dual access control. In fact, where people just cannot walk into the any floor. They will have a floor access control, and most importantly, we have encryption technology into place, right? So they should see this, and on the top of it, we also use password protection tools. Like our go-to tool is like a RoboForm. First of all, if the client is using anything like Practice Protect or something, we are good with that. If not, then we will implement a RoboForm into that. So what happens is in the RoboForm is that even the account managers would not know what is the password.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't even log in from outside the office
Mm-hmm.
because RoboForm is into their machine, right? So there is a dual kind of a protection. So I think these are the things which is very a standard practice with most of the offshoring firms, So the security is, I would say, in today's age is pretty much sorted now, okay? Or maybe I would say that, the offshore agencies have far more secured environment as compared to a smaller accounting firms.
Mm-hmm.
So, and today with the cloud server and if you are using like QuickBooks Online or maybe Xero, so already you are on a cloud platform, right? So it doesn't matter whether somebody is accessing your data from here or from India or from Philippines or wherever, right? Because the security protocols are just the same.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, well, when I'm talking with the firm owners about this concern, I'm actually letting them know that offshoring agencies have better security than when they're hiring someone onshore that's working from home.
Yeah, yeah. If somebody is just working from home with no security, imagine what is the risk involved versus in an offshoring agency, they come to the office with all access control systems, with all secured servers, with all data protection, encryption technology in place, So they are far, far, far more secured as compared to somebody, a contractor to you hire in US,
Mm-hmm. And so we are talking a lot about accounting and want to just switch. What about taxes? Now, is Finsmart able to help tax preparers as well with their tax season overload?
Yeah. So in fact, we have a US tax. We have 3 tiers of tax. Okay. So if you want a tax preparer, like, who can just prepare the returns and, give it to you. So these are like, bachelors in accounting with at least 2 to 3 seasons of tax experience. Then we have a tax senior. If you want somebody who can just complete the return and then go for a partner review straight. These are the people who are like 5 to 6 years of experience. They've seen 5, 6 seasons of tax. So they are like pretty much, competent. And if you want still a further, we have a tax manager. So who could be an EA or CPA as well. And, so they are as competent that make sure that the returns are ready where the partners could just go and file. So these are the things. And also what happens is that people do not realize that most of the times when I see that people get burdened out in the tax season, right? I mean, there are so many offshoring, like we provide a tax resource for a seasonal spikes, right? So you can hire a seasonal tax resource, So why get bothered, when you are able to get the seasonal tax help? So why get your own people into stress and pulling them into the, burning midnight oil during the tax season, and they get so stressed out, their health goes south and stuff like that. So you could actually avoid it if you are able to plan these things, and there are a lot of agencies, like we offer seasonal tax resource, people should go for that.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. It's not just about accounting and bookkeeping and everything like that. You can also do the taxes as well, and that you have seasonal help or packages that you offer so that when it's the busy season, they can go ahead and add on some additional staff through Finsmart or another offshore agency. And then when it's not so busy, they can go ahead back to their regular staffing needs. Is that correct?
Yes, they can hire just for the tax season. So we provide like 90 days to 120 days resort. So they just could work from like December to April.
And just a quick, maybe story of one of your clients that does tax prep work. How has it made a difference for them in their firm because they were able to use your solution during tax season?
Yeah. So what happens is that, during the tax season, there's a lot of burden, so there's a lot of, because everybody rushes during that, right? And it is very difficult for them to kind of manage it. And many a times, if some tax preparer that you have hired goes on a sick leave or medical leave, or he has to exit for some reason, so you get so much stressed out. So I would always I would always advise our firm owners that you should have a healthy mix of a tax preparer in India or wherever with US. So it's like a blended staff. So what happens is that even somebody goes off, you can just have the temp resources here created. And if you already have the relationships going, that means the team is already trained. So it's a faster onboarding for you, because in the tax season you can't say I'll be offshoring for the first time and I'll start in the tax season. No, it doesn't work that. You have to start working ahead of the time, and then you increase the staff during the tax season. So the relationship needs to continue, so that what happens is that your way of working, your way of processing, the offshoring agency staff is already trained, and then you can add more resources during the tax season. That becomes a viable solution as compared to venturing it out into the offshoring during the tax season, where you are already burdened with so much work.
And then if someone is thinking about doing this, especially for tax season, when is a good time that they ought to start looking into this and start putting things in place so that it's all ready to go when tax season starts?
Yeah, so I think they should look at least 60 days before, so somewhere around October is a good time, right? They could just sign up for, tax resources and, start gearing up for the season. And then, once you are in a season, then you don't have a time to train or, stuff like that. Your staff is trained, your processes are streamlined. So you start getting production straight, rather than, spending time on training.
Perfect. So if someone is interested in moving forward, what would be maybe a first step for going in this direction and starting the process?
I think, see, what happens is that a couple of things, so what you are asking is selection of an offshoring partner, right? Yeah. So, few things what you should do is that, in my opinion, that, you should check in your network who's using what kind of an offshoring agency. So I think references is the number one thing that you should look at. Okay. Second is you can go to their website and see, what is the kind of a services they are offering, and then have a meeting with them, right? and understand, what is the size of the organization. So if you are working with an offshore agency who has got like 100, 200 people, then you are sure that, they would have the right practices, processes, and, technology in place to, help you during the tax season, right? And the third important thing, what you should do is always ask uh, for their client testimonials, or maybe ask that, whether you can speak to their client. So, get the references, speak to their client, say that, how they have gained out of this agency. So I think these three things are extremely important when you are, wanting to select any offshore agency.
Okay, what I hear was that you want to first maybe look at which offshore agencies you're interested in, go to their websites and see what it is that they offer, make sure that they specialize in what it is that you need. Meet with somebody from the agency, and then see if you can go ahead and speak to someone who's already using the services. One other thing that I am aware of that we haven't touched on also that is a benefit of offshoring is there's oversight built into the ability, built into the work. So a lot of times I've seen where the offshore agencies, not only do you get the person that's doing the direct work, but there's someone doing oversight of that work before you tend to get it for review, so that by the time you get it, it's actually accurate and doesn't need much fixing or changing. Is that part of what you've seen, or how most offshore agencies operate?
Yeah, so there are different models available, okay, in offshore. Okay, so one is like we call it not outsource, we call it an embedded model, So our team gets embedded into you, right? So you are not outsourcing anything. We are embedding our team. So the advantage of this model is that this is no different from hiring your own team, because these team exactly plays like how you have hired your own team. So they will operate in your email ID. They will get the licenses on all the softwares that you are having on that email ID, right? So it's very easy, and it's very there's nothing different that you need to do, so it's as good as you're hiring your team in US. Okay. The other model is an outsource model where you just say, hey, look, these are my 40 returns, and you prepare all these 40 returns and give it to me. So many of our people also work per return basis. Okay. So, where they will charge you for the number of returns they have prepared, right? And in these cases, a lot of times they have 2 or 3 layers. There is a preparer and there is a reviewer, right? So preparer will prepare, the reviewer will review, and then they push the work to to the firm owners, right? So then they can do a final review before they could just file the returns, right? So there are number of models available in the industry. It depends on what suits you, right? So for a smaller firm, very small firm, if they have the returns, the per return basis is a good thing. If you think that, okay, many of the times in a per return basis, what happens is that you have to get all the information and give it to them, right? If you don't give all the information, then it just they can't start preparing the return. So if you look at more that you need a temp resource who could just work under your instruction, and you can just mobilize, okay, don't work for this return, maybe you work for this client, and it's a frequent change, then I would suggest that you should hire a team or a person rather than going for a per return, because that's easier for you. So it's not that all models will fit everybody. It all depends on what's your situation, and how you are comfortable in which format. So there are various formats available. You can just choose based on what what's your comfort.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because it's something that's not talked about too much, is the different models that are offered, and being aware of that helps you make a better selection when you're looking to first move in this direction. So Maanoj, you shared some very important points today. I learned from every conversation that we have together as well. And some of the things that we touched on was why raising rates alone doesn't really solve the workload problems, uncovering some of those strategic offshoring and delegation strategies to solve the capacity challenges. And also we covered some practical steps to reclaim time and boost profitability. So thank you so much. And if somebody wanted to follow up, have a further conversation with you and how Finsmart might be a solution for them, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can go to the finsmart.com, and we have a they can just set up a calendar. We have a meeting calendar over there. They could just there's a free consultation. So if you just click on the free consultation, there'll be a calendar opening and they can just book the slot and we'll be happy to help.
And for anybody listening, if this has been on your mind, this is something that you are ready to get done, take care of, and you know that it's going to make a difference, I suggest that you go ahead and go to finsmart.com and check it out.
Finsmartaccounting.com.
Sorry, can you say that again? I was talking over you.
It's finsmartaccounting.com.
Finsmartaccounting.com. Go ahead and get it done, get that conversation going, and it will make a big difference for you and your firm. Anyway, thank you so much, Maanoj. This is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solutions, showing accounting firm owners how to be able to double their income working half the time.